So we should start. So it's really a great pleasure today to have the Voltaggio brothers. Clap. It's really awesome. And as you see, they're going to put on quite an exciting show. But before we start, we have a couple of other items of business. And today, actually, one of them is, here we have Professor Rob Liu, who's in charge of Harvard X. Harvard X is the online version of Harvard and is one of our most important sponsors in this entire venture. And so we're very grateful to you. And I just asked Rob, since he's here, if he could say a few words to you. Rob.
Thank you, Michael. It's really a rare moment in life where you have so many favorites sort of come together in one room. And I think for me, this is one of those special moments. So science and cooking has always been, I think, one of the paradigms for us truly exploring the variety of places that learning can take place. Learning takes place in the classroom, but as all of you in this room know, learning also takes place in the kitchen, in the workplace, while you're on vacation, at every moment of the day. So one of the issues that Harvard X really tries to tackle is how can we create greater opportunities for the world across every conceivable platform in every conceivable setting. So for us, it's been a great pleasure to work so closely with Michael, Pia, and David on the enormous sort of efforts that they've done in bringing science and cooking to the world, but also bringing it to Harvard students as well. So I think for us, it really represents one of those great examples of the degree to which you can apply sort of learning in a very wide range of settings and using a variety of approaches. So learning, I think, is one of those things that we care deeply about, and I think Michael, Pia, and David absolutely do that as well, as I think we'll see tonight the Voltaggio brothers do as well. But the other thing that I think is incredibly powerful is creativity. And quite often when you think about science, unfortunately, many of us think of science as all facts and figures and nothing else. But what we also know is that science really depends on creativity. It depends on solving problems under constraints and really trying to think outside of the box. And I've had the privilege of dining at both Inc. and Volt, the two restaurants that our master chefs represent. And I have to say, because I'm in California more often than I am in Maryland, I've also had the privilege of eating the entire Inc. menu, not at once, but over 4 sittings with friends. And so one thing that I can also say is that both of these chefs really represent not just great cuisine, not just a great opportunity to learn, but as I think we'll see tonight and as I've tasted personally, that burst of creativity, that pushing of the envelope, that surprise that always takes you to a different place and changes how you view the world. So on behalf of Harvard X, I'm truly honored, and we're all honored to be a part of this event. Thank you.
So now what I'm supposed to do for the next several minutes is talk about emulsions, which is the scientific topic of tonight that you will see before you in spades. In the Harvard class that accompanies this lecture, we have a lab, actually, that the students did last week. And the lab was basically making mayonnaise and lime foam. And you will notice, you all have to clap, this is our equation. This week. Well, we have this bizarre tradition that we have these equations and people clap, and it's just everyone's humoring us. Anyway, so this is the lime foam that is created. But what I want to talk about is something else, which is that yesterday was Halloween. How many of you went trick-or-treating? Oh, no, it wasn't yesterday. Recently, it was Halloween. So actually, because it was Halloween, if you go to CVS, you can buy this candy very cheaply, which I did in preparation for this event. And here I have candy. Now, is the candy a solid or a liquid? Solid. What about if I pour it? Now it's a liquid. So you see if I do that to it, now it's a liquid. It flows, do you notice? But now it's a solid. Okay, so I'm going someplace with this. So marbles, packing. Okay, volume fraction. That was the equation from last week. Now, okay, so the volume fraction is, what you do is you take the total volume of the candy and you divide by the volume of space that it occupies. Now, in this candy, you see the total volume that it occupies is not equal to the total volume of the candy because there's gaps in it. There's air. There's free space. So have any of you ever entered the Count the Jelly Beans in a Jar contest? So the reason that you can't win, well, there are several reasons why it's hard to win. One is you have to know the volume of the jar. You're not allowed to weigh the jar. If you weigh the jar, you could always win because you would weigh the jar and then you would weigh the candy and you would win. But you're not allowed to do that. And so what you have to do is estimate how much free space there is in the jar because the jar is not densely packed with candy. And it turns out there's a rule of thumb that is very important in this regard, which is that it turns out that if the candy were spheres, they were spherical objects, then there's a number which is 64%, which is the volume of space that the candy occupies. So 36% of it is free space. If it's M&Ms, then it turns out it's about 70%. And so this is like still, it's somewhere around 30% of it is free space. Now this is very important for tonight's lecture. I'm going to convince you guys of this. You don't have to believe me, but I'm going to try to convince them.
We're with you.
And this is very important, and I want to
there.
basically tell you about this. So okay, so the point is that when the volume fraction is less than 64% or so, then it's a liquid. It flows. That's why when I did this, it flowed. When it's 64% or bigger, then it has an elastic modulus. It's a solid. And so you can plot the elasticity as a function of volume fraction, and there's a critical volume fraction, which is 64%, where basically the thing becomes a solid, and as you continue to compress it above that, it becomes more and more stiff. The reason that I'm telling you this is that the physics of emulsions is exactly the same as what I just said. So what is the physics of emulsion? So now emulsions, we're going to see lots of emulsions in front of us. Foams, cappuccino foam, whipped cream, mayonnaise, aioli. These are things that people, you all, many of us cook every day. And the way that you cook them is that you take some elements, often oil and water or water and air with a little bit of chemical, stuff like that, and you put it in a jar and you mix it very hard, which is presumably why you guys have this Breville mixer here, because you're going to mix it very hard. And notice...
I just give away the whole thing.
Well,
no more surprises now.
Right, and notice they've got this attachment, this thing, which basically is for whipping. So the question is, why is it that if you pour the stuff, well, I don't know what you're going to pour in there, but whatever it is, you're going to mix something, and what's going to happen is they're going to make a foam or an emulsion, and if you were to take a picture of it under the microscope, what you would see is this. This is a picture of Hellmann's mayonnaise under the microscope, and what it consists of is droplets. There are little droplets of oil and water. Now, we have a microscope here, so we're prepared for your lecture. But can anyone tell me what the volume fraction is of the... First of all, is mayonnaise a solid or a liquid? It's a solid. It's not a very strong solid. If you stood on it, you would crush it. But, you can put a paper clip on top of it, and it'll be OK. So it's sort of like a solid. And the reason that it's a solid is because there are those droplets. Now, can anyone tell me what the volume fraction is of those droplets? 64%. So you see, so it's the same as the candy in a jar. So what you're trying to do is pack things together, and by mixing, you're packing. This is a picture of aioli under the microscope. They're all packings of little droplets. And you can have various types of emulsions. There's oil and water emulsions, where there's oil droplets in water. There's water and oil emulsions, in which there's water droplets in oil. And there are various questions one can ask. How do you make the droplets? Well, you're going to watch droplets be made. When that machine turns on, you can guarantee droplets are being made. It's actually amazing that it makes them, that the thing works. Because the droplets are pretty small, actually, and you just turn the damn thing on, and then pretty soon thereafter you've got 10 micron-sized droplets. You can't even see them.
That's why your job's so easy.
That's why you're, yeah. Well, I can't do it. Though.
Push a button on.
In fact, you know what color is it? So if you notice that mayonnaise is white, has anyone noticed that? Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah.
Do you know why it's white? Does anybody know why mayonnaise is white?
I've made it yellow with saffron, though, too.
Yeah, you can put coloring in and make it yellow. But does anybody know why mayonnaise is white? Because you don't start out with white substances, right? You start out with clear substances and it ends up being white. Why is it white? It bends the light. It bends the light. Do you know what the wavelength of light is? Does anybody know what the wavelength of the light in this room is? It's what's the unit? Well, nanometers is sort of hundreds microns, sort of hundreds of nanometers. So, but the point is that it has to be that big to bend the light. So these droplets are small to bend the light, and so they're sort of micron-sized droplets. We'll see under the microscope, a little bit bigger than that. So okay, packings of droplets, emulsion techniques. I'm giving away your lecture, sorry. Droplets, movies.
I'm just a cook.
You're cooking, emulsions, droplets. I'm just showing you pictures.
We're actually just cooking dinner.
Yeah, droplets, mayonnaise. We had a mayonnaise making competition. This is cool. We asked people how much mayonnaise could you make with a single egg. This was stealing an idea.
I used to
from
win
Harold
that in my
McGee.
kitchens, by the way.
Did you always win? How much could
yes.
you make?
I used to make a whole Robocoup full. I don't know if you understand what that is, like a Cuisinart mixer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he's cheating. He's
one
using a
egg yolk.
machine. I mean,
No,
you don't have to go to the gym. If you just make mayonnaise,
I
you
would
just...
I would cheat. I would throw xanthan gum in there. And I didn't tell anybody.
Actually, an interesting question is how does that make it better? But anyway, there are too many questions. I've said enough. You all know about emulsions now. I present you the Voltaggio brothers.
Thank you.
Normally, I think everyone usually thanks Harvard for inviting them. It's a huge honor. It is for us. But we want to thank the long list of people that weren't available to speak here tonight so that we actually got to come and do this. So thank you for those guys that
Not
are
showing up.
and those
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen that are busy. Good evening, Harvard. Never thought I'd say that. My mom never thought I'd say that either. So
I never thought you would say that either.
I didn't have to
Out there.
apply or pay for it either, so that's
Yeah.
good. We're gonna try and do a whole 6-course tasting menu in however much time you say we have. How much time do we have? An hour.
An
So
hour.
if somebody
Normally-
wants to volunteer and tell us, because we'll get lost in this and then you guys will be here until tomorrow. So we wanna make sure that you'll let us know. Okay. So first dish is gonna be a foam. To me, a foam, in scientific terms in the kitchen means a fancy word that you can use for a sauce and charge more money for it. Just call it a foam. Easily $5 more. That's the science behind it for us. So it's actually math. This isn't a math lecture. No, okay.
Economics.
It's not.
Economics.
Wrong class. You guys are in the wrong class. Yeah, how to take yogurt and turn it into a lot of money. For us, a foam, I think the easiest way to understand it is trapping a gas inside a liquid or a solid, right? So inside this thing is some yogurt, some buttermilk, some roasted garlic, and a little bit of salt. And then this is NO2. You put that in, the gas goes in, and then when we shake it up and put it out, you get the foam. And so you're saying, well, why would you do that? Why would you do that for this cucumber salad? This dish is based on tzatziki, a normal dish of cucumber, yogurt, usually some lemon, some za'atar. Delicious dish, one of my favorites. But we take dishes like that and we try and add a little bit of that creative process or creativity to it and figure out a way to make it a little bit more unique, a little bit different. And so with this one, we're adding the NO2, creating the foam, and that wasn't going to be the end of it. And then we have to freeze everything. I mean, now this stuff is available to us too. So this is at Whole Foods, I think, in the frozen food section. You can buy liquid nitrogen. And so if you take yogurt and you just drop it in to the nitrogen, it's going to freeze and turn into an ice cube. And then when you put it into your mouth, it's going to crack your teeth. And then that yogurt that you charged all that money for, you're now going to get sued to pay somebody back for the tooth that you just broke. So it's actually not a good way to do that. And so we had to figure out a way to not get sued when we put frozen yogurt in front of people without cracking their teeth. And so we add the gas to it, turn it into a foam. We're going to extract the foam into the nitrogen, and that's going to be the dressing for the cucumber salad. So the rest of it is pretty basic. We've got some cucumbers here, been vacuum packed, kind of take some of that atmosphere out of it. Is that pretty accurate? Take some of the atmosphere out of it, or not. Sounded fancy, right? I mean, and so this is just a cucumber that's been vacuum packed with a little bit of its own juice. I'm going to cut it up. This is oblique. Bet you guys, did you know that word?
Well, the cool thing is when you compress the cucumber, it changes the structure of it. It actually gives it a different texture. It's not as crisp, but it actually has, it's still crisp, but it still has a chew. And it's actually really delicious. It, compresses the cell walls of the vegetable and actually almost juices itself. Like it just becomes, when you cut into it, it starts to kind of ooze out a little bit. And so it just tastes more like cucumber somehow.
I think it
don't
just
know
looks
why.
cool.
It looks cool too. It changes the color.
Yeah,
of
I mean,
it.
who's ever seen a cucumber that looks this color? Don't look at the shape. Come on, this is Harvard. So there's lemon oil inside the bowl, a little bit of lemon juice. We're going to add some acid to it to season it. A little bit of salt over here. I've got some flake salt. And again, this is just a basic, simple cucumber salad. You can make at home if you've got liquid nitrogen and NO2 and all that stuff sitting around in the cabinet. And a really great description of what emulsions and foams are. If you have that too in your head, then you can put this dish together at home. So these are cucumbers. It's seasoned with a little bit of lemon oil, some lemon juice, some salt, and some za'atar. So it's got that Middle Eastern sort of flavor going on. And then I'm going to put a couple of these into a bowl like this. This bowl I actually made in the back with some clay that we took out of the ground underneath the school. We went to Williams-Sonoma and actually bought them. And then here, I've got some charred shallots. And these are just shallots that I stuck onto a cast iron pan, charred slightly, and then basically just vacuum packed them with a little bit of vinegar. And so it was like a quick pickle. Do you know this word, quickle? Have you heard that? No? This is a quickle.
It's Webster's 2016 word of the year.
And so if you look up quickle, you might not find it anywhere. And then the last thing is our foam. So the foam, like I said, I've got nitrogen here, liquid nitrogen here. And so basically, because
Oh, my fault.
a little bit more salt. You know, the foam, the gas that's been trapped inside the liquid or the solid, in this case, it's yogurt, buttermilk, a little bit of lemon juice, some salt, some roasted garlic. We're going to extract it into the nitrogen so that it's airy and light and fluffy so that when we put it onto the plate, it's not just frozen ice cubes of yogurt that break your teeth and I get sued and I don't get invited back to talk about food at Harvard anymore. So basically, right here, we've got our foam. We'll just do this. We're going to get a little bit more air into it. How much of that is on my face already? Not much?
Oh, just a little bit. Here, let me get you. There you go.
Do we get in trouble if we make a mess up here? We do whatever we want. Really?
No,
And you'll
no, no,
sit
no,
and
no,
watch
no.
us
I
do
already
it.
know where that's going. I've done this way too much.
All right. Oh, you'll get in trouble. Did you watch Gallagher, the comedian? The front row, I had this conversation with them earlier. He made everyone wear trash bags in the front row for his show because he was always exploding stuff on stage.
Don't shoot him with the phone.
The only problem is no one brought trash bags tonight, so.
Don't.
So as you can see, this is now, that's a foam, and so I did my job. I can leave. I made a foam. There's a
So
foam right there.
do you want to put that on a microscope?
Oh,
well, not that.
we-
Well, here, I'll get a spoon for you.
Here, wait.
Here you
While
go.
they're doing the unimportant stuff,
Here.
I'm going to finish my dish.
I'll come around.
So
Here, I can get
we're
that
still
for
on
you.
me,
No,
right? We're not
she's
paying
got
attention to
She's got
them.
it. It's
You got
good.
it? Okay.
Oh, this is so great.
That thing's, is that even calibrated, that microscope over there? Do you calibrate microscopes?
Absolutely.
Okay. So now, the foam is in the nitrogen. There's gas trapped inside of that liquid or solid, and so now I can just break that up. And it's a lot lighter than just if I were to put the yogurt straight in right out of the container. And so then you end up with rocks that you can. They're edible because the air is right. Am I pretty close? I think it's.
Yeah, no, you're good.
And so I'm going to break them up. Take these rocks. Bryan, you're very quiet tonight. What's going on? Usually you're like critiquing me by now.
Save that for later. We got a lot of courses left.
And then I've got some fresh. I know we're not doing too well on time. I just took up
No,
like
we're
half
good.
some fresh
I'm a
mint.
step ahead, chef.
I've got some dill. I've got some parsley. Why is everybody so quiet? Is that good when people aren't talking in
Yeah, no,
class?
this
I
is
mean,
good.
if you're a
You're
teacher,
doing great.
that means they're listening.
Yeah, they're listening.
Okay.
You're fascinated by what you're doing.
I'm fascinated by what I'm doing. These are cucumber flowers. We call them cuke blooms in the street, just so you know.
In the street.
Yes. Man. Mom, I'm embarrassing you at Harvard. And was that everything? Yeah. So I mean, it's like a tzatziki. You know, it's cucumbers. It's a frozen yogurt and garlic tzatziki foam, and some cuke flowers, cuke blooms in the street, some dill, some fresh mint, a little bit of parsley, and again, it's just a cucumber salad. But that's the first dish. So we've got a couple more to go.
So we should show. So now look, here's your foam under the microscope. Watch. Oh, do you see that? It's a bubble. Yeah, it's sort of a thick foam. But
it was supposed to be. Yeah, that's exactly what it's supposed to look like.
But you can see it's.
I was going for that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so I'm going to jump into the next dish. And actually, before we get started, I think it might be curious. I have a broken emulsion here. So I'm going to start with a broken one and then try to repair it and see if it works. So I was wondering if you want to take maybe some of
we want some
this
of everything. Yeah.
and put it on,
Can I eat this or?
I don't know, is that the
Edible,
Petri dish, right?
Just a little bit.
I know it doesn't look like food, but it tastes like food. It does.
Yeah, it might be difficult to get that, but I think you got both.
You think that's enough?
Yeah.
That's enough.
We'll just see. Because then I guess you could tell if I do my job or not. All right, so next dish is, I'm going to talk a little bit about my childhood. When I was growing up, I used to love oatmeal in the morning, but I used to take oatmeal and pour brown sugar and more sugar and cinnamon and all the things that are really not good for you, right? And just put more and more and more of it on there. I liked it really sweet. So obviously when you're a child, you're craving carbohydrates and sugar. And, as I grew up, I still love that idea of that really luxurious porridge. It was luxurious to me when I was a child. But then as I got older, I wanted something super savory. So I made the complete opposite of that. So this is a very savory porridge made with mushrooms and kombu and soy and all of those things. You need some more? Yeah. This is definitely broken. You can tell by looking at it.
Do you guys all know each other? Everyone's just...
There you go. It's horrible.
Cambridge is a small town, huh? Everyone just...
So to get to camera, right, I need to move over here. So in here, what I have in the porridge is shiitake mushrooms. Again, some steel-cut oats. It's been pressure cooked with some milk too as well, just to crack the grain and to make it like a really great savory porridge. And that part's been done. It takes about 18 minutes in the pressure cooker to make the whole thing. And then basically that part's it. So my breakfast takes a little bit longer now. I can't do it with quick oats. But then what I have here is we have an emulsion that we make with yeast, beer, lemon, and then we use 2 hydrocolloids to actually help emulsify and stabilize the sauce. And what it is we take brown butter and we start with that first, and we roast yeast, because I love the aroma and the flavor of fresh baked bread, and yeast is something that obviously plays a big part in that. But as a sauce, and also, as a sauce that's compatible with beer, because beer, obviously, fermentation and the yeast that's developed in the beer process, by taking cake yeast or soft yeast and roasting that in the butter, it just really helps to accent the sauce. Now it's naturally starting to come together on its own, because actually it will emulsify on its own.
Look.
Oh, that's completely broken, right?
Yeah. This is way cooler looking than mine.
So now what I'm going to do is
sure.
I know, I came prepared, chef. All right, so...
There's even an arrow in the middle of it.
Is it really?
How did you do that?
Oh, I placed that in the bottom, yeah. And so over here I have soy lecithin, which works as not only an emulsifier, but also it helps suspend air, okay? So I want to make bubbles. I want to create bubbles in my sauce. But I also have xanthan gum too, because I want to thicken it slightly so I have a more, a better viscosity in the sauce, so that way I can get a great mouthfeel and a finish. So I'm going to try to hold this with my belly, and then, ooh. And then I'm going to use the immersion blender to help emulsify the whole hydrocolloids into the sauce. Right now you can't see this, right, at all, so I need to maybe come to here, right? Can we see this? Okay, there we go. So now you can see it's becoming a thicker sauce as the xanthan gum is starting to bring the emulsion together. Obviously the agitation is also helping in an emulsion too as well, and I'm creating little bubbles. And that's going to be almost mayonnaise-like. So I'm going to add a little bit of stock to that, just to thin it a little bit. There we go.
I'm just doing dishes, cleaning up.
There we go. Okay, so the emulsion is all together now. And I'm gonna start to plate because what I'm gonna do is I wanna froth this right before I plate it because obviously it needs to look good when it goes out to the table. So I wanna have those bubbles suspended in the sauce. So it's more of an a la minute finish that we would do at the restaurant.
That means at the minute.
At the minute. I also have some mushrooms too.
Speaking of, this is French class too.
So originally what I do is I cook the mushrooms en papillote, which means in paper. And it's a classic French cooking term that's used to describe just putting a bunch of things into some paper, rolling it up and putting it into the oven. I don't have an oven here today, so we just pre-roasted some mushrooms. I'm just gonna warm them up lightly with some butter, and then we'll place it over the top.
So this is cheating.
This is called cheating. Yes. See, I cheated. See, they're already cooked.
Man, look at the paper and the way it's puffing in the oven, and it's just...
It's beautiful, right?
Unpampiote. We could say in pampiote.
In the pampiote, yes.
No? You guys laughed, so I mean...
Okay. So I'm gonna come over here and place some of the porridge right in the middle of the plate. I have enough for the entire crowd, it looks like. Some more butter, some pepper. We'll add a little stock here and we'll make a quick emulsion, or pan sauce.
Yeah, I read a little bit today about emulsions, obviously, because I was coming here to talk about it. And milk is an emulsion. Did you know when you drink milk, you're drinking an emulsion? I thought that was pretty cool. I just thought it was milk. So every time I'm gonna have it now, I'm gonna have a glass of emulsion every time. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have a cold glass of emulsion. Put some emulsion on your cereal. Chocolate emulsion. I mean, think of all the things you could milk. It's an emulsion.
I cook the oats with an emulsion, right? With milk. So placing some of the mushrooms over the top, it does look a little bit, the presentation is a little bit greater coming to the table and cutting the paper. So I do apologize about that part. But the fact is now...
You're acting like there's 300 people watching you right now.
I know, right?
I think it looks amazing.
Some more water. Right there, yep. There we go.
While he's doing that, I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm just gonna. Can you guys smell this out there? You can, right? It's really good. Here. Wait. Are you guys hungry? It's like dinner time right now, right? And you're here, sitting down, watching us cook and smell our... Yeah.
It's not fair. So this is savory oats with roasted wild mushrooms, an emulsion of beer and yeast, and butter, and some tatsoi over the top. And then that's it. Simple as that. Now, you want to put some of the sauce on. We're gonna see if I did my job.
The bubbles. We could try to put it under, but you can see the bubbles.
Yeah, you can see.
Yeah, we don't need a microscope.
We don't even need a microscope yet. I think it's
Good,
too
because
thick.
if I did it wrong, I don't want to get.
I don't think we're gonna be able to see through it because it's too thick, but you can see them.
Well, I can actually. Well,
Do you want to see it?
yeah, let's see.
Oh, they want to see it.
I'm curious.
Wait. Oh, yeah.
You can see that?
Oh, they're huge.
Perfect.
I brought my own microscope.
Hey, it worked. All right. Did you see that? I made bubbles.
We made an emulsion.
Yeah. Man, I am good at what I do.
When did you learn how to do
I
that?
had no idea. Thank you, Harvard.
Show off. I got them to eat mine they ate mine real fast, so they
I
can put it up on that thing.
My hashtags tonight are gonna be like, oh, they're gonna be good. They're gonna be good. I can make bubbles.
All right. We're still cooking.
Yes, we are.
They're still watching us cook. Okay. Next dish. We do a dish at the restaurant, egg yolk gnocchi. It's a gnocchi without starch. Everyone's gluten-free now, so we needed to solve that problem. And in LA, they pretty much don't eat anything anyway, so it's we're working on a water gnocchi, but no one thinks that sounds delicious. So for now, it's egg yolk gnocchi. So I've got here in this bag. Temperature for us is something that I think is crucial, understanding how different temperatures work with different foods and things like that. And so in this bag, we've got egg yolks. They've been cooked at 67 degrees Celsius for an hour, and then blended with some olive oil. The olive oil is emulsified into it, and the only thing that's inside of this is actually egg yolks and olive oil. So it's been cooked and then blended into like a pudding. And that sounds good. I mean, that's actually what we made first. And so that was the basis for like a béarnaise sauce or something. I thought it was cool. And I was spreading like all this yellow stuff onto a plate and putting pickled shallots and tarragon on top of it. And again, calling it béarnaise and charging a lot of money for it. And so I wanted to figure out how I could charge more money for the egg yolks. And so eggs are expensive.
6 cents.
So we made gnocchi out of it, and basically what we've got here is, like I said, the egg yolks and the olive oil. I've got a pot of boiling water, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But the sauce, we're in Massachusetts, right? Mm-hmm. I was going to say Maine because it's lobster, but lobster in Massachusetts, it's popular here because it's delicious. And so I wanted to add lobster to the dish. And then for me, lobster and drawn butter, those two things, that's like peanut butter and jelly, or Bryan and Michael, like those things just go together. We're more like an emulsion, actually.
Yeah, we're an emulsion.
Two things that don't belong together that are just together. Yeah, thanks, Mom. This guy. All right, so normally with stocks or sauces, you have to reduce the sauces to be able to emulsify the fat into it. Sometimes you have to play with the temperature, add a little bit of cold cream to it, get it down, or find that sweet spot to get a perfect emulsion. Now, by using xanthan gum, we can cheat. And so basically, this powder, what do you call it? A polysaccharide? Am I saying that correctly? I think polysaccharide. It's a polysaccharide. It's a powdered form, and when it's hydrated, it turns into like a gum. And so that gum enables us to stabilize the emulsion. Therefore, we can do things, for instance, make a beurre monté, basically emulsified butter that we hold, in the above the line in service, and so that every time you order something from us, we soak it in butter before we serve it to you. And so the butter will usually break halfway through the service, and then the chef comes by, starts yelling at you, and so we found a way to do it by stabilizing the emulsion with xanthan gum. And so this is a concentrated lobster stock. If you want the recipe,
Who'd you serve your
you might
cucumber
have to. I don't know. We'll write a book or no. But
Who'd
it's
you serve a cucumber to?
I gave it away.
Yeah.
So
Nobody wants my dish.
roasted lobster.
I don't have a spoon though.
This is roasted lobster shells. We've started making all of our stocks in pressure cookers. We get a lot of the clean flavor out of the shells faster that way. It's a purer flavor. But now instead of having to reduce this, while Bryan's playing,
You're
trying to make friends,
Okay. Here,
handing a dirty spoon out for somebody to eat with.
spoon water.
So I'm going to take that same
one in back.
immersion blender that Bryan was using.
It's clean.
Bryan, this is Harvard. Is this on low? Because if I turn this on and it explodes, that's
I
good.
sabotage you. It's on high. I'm just kidding.
Does it go? Man, this thing
Here,
is
actually,
really
you know
good.
what? Let me assist. Here.
So if you could just see what I'm doing? Do
Yep,
that?
yes, I got that. Like that.
I'm gonna create a little vortex and...
Actually, you've used the lower one.
How did you turn it down like that?
You use the other button.
So the
So you want to create a vortex in there so the hydrocolloid actually goes down into powder, goes down into the emulsion so none of it sticks to the side of the immersion blender.
Wow, that's...
If that happens, then it won't
Is this
work.
your dish or my dish?
This is our dish, chef.
All right. So while Brian's stealing my ideas over here,
See,
So,
some of it didn't get in.
as you can see, the stock now is thicker.
It's coating the
And so it's
blender.
going to be a lot easier for me to make the emulsion. I don't need to reduce it. And
clean
so even like in the old days, you had to sit there and like tablespoon of butter at a time and stand over it and do this. And it took forever. And then if it didn't work, it broke. You got yelled at. And then the whole thing was just horrible. And so we figured out a way to just sort of eliminate that part of it by... Xanthan gum is like, it's like baby's tears. Or I don't know, there's just something like...
What?
It's like a gift. It's like, I don't know. It's just like something so.
Well,
Not that baby tears are. No, that's horrible.
there. It's one of those hashtags I was talking about earlier, right? Hashtag baby tears. Let me put that up.
But as you can see, I'm pretty sure if you put this on the microscope, that emulsion's going to be way more stable than Bryan's and have a much bigger airplane arrow thing in the middle of it than Bryan's did. Because.
Oh, yeah?
So, are you going to hit me with that?
No.
So I've got my lobster butter emulsion right there. I'm going to add this lobster meat. I just blanched it lightly. I'm going to warm it up inside the sauce. And then the next thing is the gnocchi. So, like I said, I've got my egg yolks and olive oil. And when I was making that béarnaise sauce or the hollandaise sauce on the plate, we cleaned the spatula off one night with hot water to make the next dish. And all of a sudden it got hard on the outside of the spatula. And the first thing I did was get upset because I'm like, I need a spatula right now. And the guy's cleaning it and the egg is just sticking to the outside. And I'm like, wait a second. He's heating it. It's overcooking it more. And now it's sticking to the spatula. Go get me a pastry bag and a tip and a pot of boiling water. He goes, and this is how a lot of the creativity happens. And so
By accident.
Then by accident, I came up with this thing, which is just our egg yolk. Is that on the, can you? Oh man, that's terrible. That's really embarrassing. They can't see what I'm doing.
Yeah, we can do that. Just give me 1 second.
Just pretend like you're seeing it
we can
turn
move.
into like.
We can move
No,
this
I'll
over.
take it over there and show them after. They'll believe
Okay.
me. It'll be finished. Trust me. And so basically, the egg yolks, now what I'm doing is just overcooking the outside of it and leaving the inside of it like that nice kind of pudding texture. And that's going to be my gnocchi. And so it's just egg yolks, again, egg yolks and olive oil. We're going to, these look pretty good. I know you can't see it, but except
look
that
bad.
one doesn't look good.
No.
So that's going to get hot. I've got my bowl here. All this pretty stuff. These are sea beans. Really good. Have you ever had a sea bean? Best thing in the world. Just tastes like. What do you think it tastes like? Tastes like salt. It's the best thing. And so these gnocchis have like another minute. And like this sauce over here, the thing about the xanthan gum stabilizing the emulsion is that if it gets hot and it starts to fall apart again, you can just bring it back together again because again, we've stabilized it. It's you're not just relying on the temperature and getting that perfect marriage of fat going into the liquid and you're not doing this because it's already stuck together like this, you know? So then when it just starts like, oh, we don't want to be together anymore, you just kind of heat it up and blend it back together and it just goes back like that. It's an amazing thing. So Gonna get our lobster. I brought some tweezers, didn't I?
Oh, right here.
You guys eat lobster here? No? A little bit. So, these are ready. You can see, it worked. It did work, okay. I was nervous, because if it didn't work, I was gonna blame it on Bryan, and that would have been awkward for him. And like this sauce is getting pretty hot. I'm gonna take it over. How are we on time? Bryan, we have 15 minutes. Half an hour?
Can we have
How
some
come
of
you
the
didn't put
yellow
my,
stuff?
yeah, why didn't
Can
you
we
put
have
mine
the yellow?
on?
No, we want some of that stuff.
Oh, this?
Yeah, we want to see
I
it.
mean, as long as
'Cause
you
said it
put
was an
something of mine
emulsion.
on the,
You said it was an emulsion. We just need a
you
little
can
bit.
touch it with your fingers.
Well, it is an emulsion. I mean,
crap.
you know,
Okay.
Is that regulate? Is that gonna work?
I don't know. We'll see. What do you think?
well, less than is present
Can
egg
I taste
yolks.
it?
I was actually gonna make you the whole dish right now.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm gonna take the lobster. Hey, lobster, where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Okay. So the lobster, and if you look at this, it's glazed inside the lobster stock too. And so that emulsion and the fact that it's together, take the pot away, hold it over this. The meat's perfectly glazed inside the sauce as well. So now it's coated in like that drawn butter, but the drawn butter or now the melted butter tastes like lobster. So it's like lobster coated in lobster butter, which, I mean, come on, Boston. I mean, I might come and open a restaurant here and make this.
Are
More
there?
droplets, yeah.
Does that mean
There
I
are.
did or did not do my job?
You did it.
Okay,
You did
perfect. Because that would have been awkward. Okay. All right, so a few pieces of lobster. I cooked only 2 whole lobsters for the demo. I brought the knuckles tonight because I think it's the best part. I saved the tail for tomorrow's class. Don't tell them. Honestly, I think the knuckles are the best part. So we've got some lobster knuckle. Do you have a spoon I can borrow?
I do, right
Can
there.
I use one of yours?
Mm-hmm. They're not mine, they're ours.
Aww.
You said
So
Mom
we've
was
got
watching,
some
right?
egg yolk gnocchis. And then we've got that lobster emulsion. It's so fancy. Like we're making fancy food right now. I said I said earlier that I wasn't going to say tonight, and I've said it like 100 times. These are sea beans. So, Michael, if you want to, can you help me out for one quick second? If you could just, after I'm finished with this, just eat it and look at everyone and pretend like it's really good. This is egg yolk gnocchis with a lobster butter emulsion and some sea beans and... Absolutely. It is? Oh.
Yeah, I'm just going to have one bite, then I'm going to give it out. Okay?
Yeah, perfect. Let me see if he's telling the truth.
No, it's really good.
Oh, yeah, you're right, it is. Okay. Wow, this emulsion is... That's really good.
You'll have to come back and see these people next week. Do you want to give it out? No.
You guys have a better view. How did I cook the lobster? It's a very good question. Old school. I put the claws into a container. Is it cooked perfectly? So I blanched the claws and the tails. 6 minutes on the claws and 3 minutes on the tails. So basically what I do is I put the claws into the bowl first, boil water, pour it over top of it, wait 3 minutes, and then the last 3 minutes add the tails to it, cover it back up. And for some reason I was shown how to do this like 12 years ago and it still blanches lobster perfectly. Then I take it out of the shell. So I just want to cook it enough to be able to get it out of the shell. And then I finished it in the lobster butter sauce. So it's warming up and finished the cooking without overcooking it right inside the sauce.
Because this emulsion isn't done yet, all the pepper oil from cooking the jalapenos is on top, and I just took a spoonful of that, and it's really hot. Did you see that? All the oil droplets on the top? Yeah, you can see it a little bit. So, since Michael went lobster, I wanted to bring crab because we're from Maryland, and we have the best blue crabs.
Boston, you're in Boston right now.
I know. You got
Lobster.
to fight for your ingredients.
Jonah crab.
Come on now. I know there's some good Jonah crab here. We had some today. It's really delicious. But the blue crab.
I'm only
Blue
doing
crab.
this because you needed the gasket out of this.
I know.
If this explodes all over the place, I'm blaming you.
So this is a.
There's a little gasket inside here. We only brought one, so actually, there's a good chance this might explode and stuff's gonna go everywhere. If that happens, it's Bryan's fault. Good.
So I want to do something that that looks very, very simple, because I think for a lot of us, we don't realize that we make emulsions every single day, every time we cook, or at least a lot of times. Okay. So pasta dish, just thinking spaghetti and marinara sauce. But if you're adding olive oil and butter and some pasta water to it, because you're making it correctly, or you want some of that starch water into there, that starch is going to help create that emulsion and make that suspended sauce that's going to coat the pasta all over and make it really delicious. That way, every time you're grabbing a noodle, I mean, I know some of us take the jar of spaghetti and you boil
Did you
the
say
pasta.
grabbing a noodle?
Well, eat a noodle. I don't know. And you boil the pasta, right, and then you put it in the middle of the bowl and then you pour the sauce on the top. That's not how we do it in my house, right? Or in a restaurant. So what we do is we take this, the pasta always goes into the pan, it gets tossed together. The agitation is one thing that helps to create the emulsion, but then also it's the starch that's coming off the pasta into the into the sauce. It's helping to make that really luxurious mouthfeel that we're looking for. So what I have here, I started with was just some garlic and oil, very, very simple preparation, some jalapeno for some spice. And then I'm reducing down a crab stock lightly, which we just made with some crab bodies after we picked all the crabs and made a stock with that. I have a few minutes to kill, that's why I'm talking, because I have to cook the pasta, and I have 1 minute and 44 seconds left.
What are you going to do for 1 minute and 44 seconds? You're going to look at me.
No.
There's all those good-looking people out there, and you want to look at me.
Oh, that's right, I do have other ingredients. Okay, so I have some butter that I took uni, or sea urchin roe, and basically just pureed the two together, equal parts. So
that's uni butter.
100 grams of uni, 100 grams of butter. And that's gonna go right into the sauce, because I'm just trying to make my emulsion that much more difficult. But what's gonna happen though too, now agitation is occurring in the pan, right? There's a boiling that's occurring in the pan. So that's going to help actually bring the emulsification together and the reduction of the stock. So I don't really have to do a whole lot.
How much that's uni and crab. How much do you charge for that?
Oh, a lot of money. So as you can see, naturally the two are starting to come together.
It's like the most
Oh, you can't
expensive
see
of lunch.
this.
You just
That's
throw
right.
some foie gras and truffles in there and just...
I know. So right now it's broken. Okay, we went through that with the other sauce. Right? You can see that the oil is floating, it looks like an oil slick.
I don't call it broken. I call it like not getting along.
Not getting along.
A little therapy, little emulsion therapy. It's not broken. You can fix it.
Yes, it can be fixed. But we're intentionally breaking it to bring it back together. So it's just not happening as fast as I want it to, but the pasta is almost ready. So now the reduction is occurring. The fat is emulsifying into the liquid. I'm going to add some blue crab. We'll add that right to the pan. Oh, there's my
ready.
timer. My timer is done. What I'll do is I'm going to take the pasta. And so this is a squid ink tonarelli. So I extruded this using a die with a pasta extruder. So basically what we do is we take a liquid and a solid, and we push the two together and push it through, like when you have Play-Doh, and you're pushing it through and it makes the hair. It's kind of like the same thing. But it's an extruder, so this auger pushes the pasta through, so we can make any shape we want. We could change it. We could control the texture of the pasta too as well. This is squid ink.
If you put that on
Some
the menu as
water.
black hair pasta, do you think they won't buy that?
No,
Oh,
you would not sell.
Hair pasta.
So I'm going to increase the temperature of the pan.
Can you?
Yes, I need my pepper mill. We're going to let this all come together to form the sauce. We're also finishing
Maybe you
the
could
cooking
call it
of
like
the pasta.
Like Dali pasta. Like. No?
We could. We call it...
No art? No one likes art in here? Who took a picture? No. There's no evidence. Never happened.
All right.
It's hairy.
Patience is key. So we're reducing this down. Also, I took, this is one thing that it's actually interesting to talk about. So this is called Arbe. There's Old Bay, right? Well, I made Arbe. I actually had it on the menu.
Like a pirate or our?
I actually had it on the menu,
our.
and I'm sure there's probably, because your legal school here is obviously one of the best in the world, so I'm sure it was probably somebody who was a graduate here told me to stop calling this Arbe. So I was not able to do that.
He got a cease and desist for that.
Yeah,
That's
I did.
true.
That's very true. I listened. I took it off the menu. All right, so now the reduction's occurring. You see you can't see it. Okay, so I'm agitating the pasta and starting to bring together the sauce. Reduction occurred, so we've evaporated some moisture and water out of the dish, but then also the emulsion has occurred. You can see it's suspended now. It's not broken anymore. The starch from the pasta has started to help thicken the liquid together, but then also the fact that we made that reduction of that protein-rich stock, and then we emulsified that uni butter into it, it created the emulsion in the pan.
So I just can't resist. I have to point something out.
Well, you have to come up and try this. It's really delicious.
But actually, that's what I really wanted, but I also wanted to point something out. When you were reducing this, what left the pan? So
Water.
what went up? Remember the equation? The volume fraction.
I did something I didn't even know I was supposed to do.
So what happened was, what went up was the volume fraction, and you get it.
Okay, so to plate it, I'm gonna have longer tongs, but I got little short ones here. This will work. So we're just gonna spoon some of the pasta around in a little nest. We'll place it in the center
It's
of
not
the
hot.
pan.
That's like gotta be burning
it's-
your fingers in front of all these people. That's awkward.
It's hot.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You pour some liquid nitrogen on it?
No. Good. So I overportioned a little bit, but it's fine.
Yeah, because no one's gonna eat it.
No. Actually, can I have a little bit of stock? So I think I reduced my emulsion a little bit. It's actually to the point where it's starting to break, but we'll bring it back together just by adding a little bit more liquid to it. And there we go.
All right.
And then, because everything tastes better with pepperoni, at least in my mind, this isn't really called an emulsion, but it's just called damn good. So I take pepperoni, grind it, and then take the fat from the pepperoni and toast breadcrumb in it, and then put the two together. So I call it an emulsion because you're taking two things that normally don't go together, and you put them together. So then we put that over the top, and we have squid ink tonarelli with blue crab, jalapeno, and pepperoni crumb. Oh, and my arugula leaves. I want to try it. And arugula, sorry.
And arugula. Whoa, this looks
So
sketchy.
this sauce would only look maybe a little bit. No, I don't know if it'd be interesting or not because actually there's some of the starches in the pan too. What would that look like?
Oh, should we look at it?
I'm just curious.
Well, I mean,
I just want to see all my sauces on the microscope because I just think that's cool. All right.
Do you know? Does anybody
So
know
I was
what
just trying to come up with a,
Well, what happens to starch when you heat it? Does anybody know?
We should make a business out of this all
Well,
of us. Like,
does
anybody know what happens to
make
starch
t-shirts with
when
that
you
on the
eat it?
front
Well,
of
it gelatinizes when they come together with
Not
the
that,
liquid,
but
right?
Right, but do you know how much it expands by? What fraction?
No, that I don't know.
Does anybody know? How much does the volume of a starch granule go up when you heat it? By a factor of? I think it's 30.
It's 30. 30.
It's 30.
It's 30.
30. Yeah.
That's huge.
That's right.
That's a good
I
way
said
to
it-
get
I
the
said it
volume
first,
fraction to
30.
go up, right?
The volume
Yeah.
fraction goes up 30.
Volume
30.
fraction goes up, yeah. That's why starch works when you heat it.
Wow. Hey. Huh? Look at that. It's moving. Oh, she's just moving it. Never mind. So what did we do there?
Yeah, does anyone
Yeah,
know
it did. It worked,
how
right?
much the volume fraction went up? 30. That's why you're sitting there and I'm standing here.
Anybody like to try pasta? I hate to give out food. I feel. Hey, my man.
He brought his own spoon.
Yeah.
He brought his own spoon.
He's been to these before. He had a spoon in his back pocket. He was ready.
If you want to sear the beef, that's
got-
not
you
that
got
big of a
that.
deal. It's just Wagyu beef short rib pastrami that was cooked at 56 degrees Celsius for 48 hours in a bag. It's no big deal. That's just like a chunk that would fit inside there.
You got it.
A little bit of oil. Because we're here to talk about foams and emulsions, so that delicious piece of meat really is not important right now. My next foam is made out of sauerkraut juice. And so this is, you know when you get like a jar of sauerkraut and you eat all the sauerkraut and then you're left with all that liquid, you can make a martini out of it, which is delicious too. It's a dirty sauerkraut martini. You guys don't drink here at all? No, okay. Or you can make sauerkraut foam.
No need
And
for
so,
this, right?
finished. And so, if you want to get the most of my work done over there, I'm just going to make.
I am. That's what I'm working on right now.
Just don't burn my sauce. A little bit of butter. Like, could you emulsify a little bit of butter into that for
You
me?
got it.
Perfect.
I've
Make
actually
it look
prov-
like the last one that was on the screen.
I was
going to
say I've actually proven I'm really good at it. By the way.
Said it again. This is Grey Poupon. Found it in the student cafeteria.
I thought there was a guy who was driving down with a big fancy Bentley who passed it out of the window.
Stole it from the student cafeteria. This part's technical. I'm gonna say roughly about 3 stolen packages of Grey Poupon. Sauerkraut juice, and for this foam, because sauerkraut juice is basically just water at this point, I want to get it foamy and thick and beautiful and fix my hair with it and stuff like that. So what I did was I scaled out some VersaWhip, which is basically soy protein. It was created to eliminate the use of egg whites and gelatin and be able to make meringues. And so this is going to be a sauerkraut meringue that's actually vegan that I'm going to put on top of red meat. I fixed that problem real fast. And so I added a little bit of mustard to it just to add a little more flavor. What I made here was what Bryan has in his hand. It's if you look at the marbling and it's pretty good. But we're talking about this, so that doesn't matter. But that's a pastrami. Yeah, the marbling is just
Oh, I'm doing a bad job at that.
so good. Maybe next time we do a class about meat, and I'll make you guys some of that. But so that's been cooked for a couple days in a bag. You guys all do that at home now too. You know what's funny? The other night, a regular of ours comes in the restaurant, and he loves our short rib. And so I asked him, you know, you want to take some home? And I gave it to him in a bag, and I started to say to him, just put it on the stove and heat it up with a little water, drop the bag into the pot. And the guy looks at me, he's just a customer, and he goes, "Can I just heat it up in my immersion circulator?" And I'm like, "Sure you can." This is the Versa Whip. I bet this on that is gonna be like, but not yet. Okay, so that's my sauerkraut juice. You burning something over there?
No,
It smells like really delicious pastrami.
I'm not burning it.
And so, it's not ready yet.
What happened? What did I miss?
It's not ready. I'm not done showing off. All right, so now it's gonna get whipped. And hopefully it's gonna turn into like a sauerkraut and mustard meringue. That I'm gonna put onto my beef dish. And so, yeah, can you just baste it a little bit with just like, and then, yeah, perfect.
Thank you, Chef.
I don't really, yeah, I don't have anything to say while this is, all the work is happening in the mixer right now. I guess I'll start plating. So these are cabbage pickles, or fermented cabbage. We basically, lacto fermentation, it's just some raw cabbage that we cut out with a fancy cutter, put into a bag, 2% salt, let it hang out in the dry storage room at work for a couple days, hope the health department didn't come by and find it. And these are really delicious. And so that'll be one of the garnishes.
I'm gonna push that. I'm gonna pull the meat to here.
So now I'm going to take this really inexpensive meat. Are you guys hungry?
That's harsh.
That's disgusting. Lee, good.
I know I did good, right?
Man, it's too bad. I mean, I just want to talk about that. I can't talk about it. I want to, but I can't. It's not that class.
Who's that guy who rethermed that? Whew, man.
How's that?
That was me. Oh, my mic's not working.
Yeah, we did that on purpose. A little bit of beef shoe.
No, I have to see this under the microscope. I've actually never seen. No, just because I've never seen any of this stuff under a microscope. But I'm really curious what does
How
beef
well
shoe
your
look
brother
like?
can make sauce. Put that thing on the microscope.
I added the butter. Let's point that out.
Can you guys see what's happening here? Wait, can I move this without hurting myself? It's just sauerkraut foam.
No, they were just talking about the
NBD. That means no big deal.
Oh.
Man, blowing your minds right now. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, you got one.
Ooh, yeah. I made that.
And the arrow's not on it either.
Because there's too much going on up there.
I don't know what I was looking at, but it looked good.
These are those lacto-fermented petals of cabbage. I've got some cabbage chips here. These are fun. Basically, those are tattoos. Those are disgusting. Hold on. Can you? Perfect. See that? These you just fry. Take raw cabbage, fry it like 300 degrees Fahrenheit in oil, dry it, and then stick it in a dehydrator for a few hours, and you get these delicious cabbage chips. You're not going to get to eat any of this. I shouldn't use adjectives like delicious. It's probably just going to upset you. So, it's a class about foam. Or lecture about foam. Lecture? Class, lecture. What are we? We're just talking about foam. It's a talk. Ted's not here though. Where's Ted? That's pretty foamy.
I don't know who Ted is.
And so that's sauerkraut juice and some Versa Whip. That thing's gonna go nuts. That's it? That's gonna make the whole thing.
It's a microscope. It looks at small things and makes it bigger.
So we're gonna just put a little bit of that sauerkraut.
He got some oohs and ahs. Hey, look at that. There it is. Check it out. You got big bubbles in there. That's.
Meat likes pepper. Nasturtiums taste like pepper. Chefs put pretty flowers on stuff because they just put pretty flowers on stuff. This is intentional. These nasturtiums actually taste pretty peppery, and so beef and pepper go really well together. I mean, you're not going to know because I'm not going to let you eat this, but somebody's going to eat it. I mean, you brought your own spoon, but you didn't bring a knife and fork, so you're not getting this one. Who has a fork? I'm bringing it right to you. I'll take them some beef. She has a fork. And so that's Wagyu short rib pastrami with sauerkraut foam. Michael, this is all back row, the dibs, back row right here.
This is for the back row.
That's for the back row. This is for the lady with the fork. Man, you have 300 people hating you right now. How's that feel? There you go. Turn around, bow, like. It's like when you see somebody win the lottery, like you want to be happy for them, but it's just like, why didn't I bring a fork? We have 5 minutes, one more dish. We're gonna do 6 dishes in 1 hour if we get these finished.
I can do this in 5 minutes because I already prepped everything.
We need like a countdown or an official. I feel like you should feel the pressure. You have 5 minutes to get this dish done.
All right. So this dish.
Top chef.
I've already prepared everything. So this dish, you said that. Now I got to tell a story about this one because there's always a story to it, right? So, during the holiday season, you're shopping in a mall and you walk by and you smell like this strong slap in the face of like vanilla and cinnamon and like cider and like, right? Around the holiday season, around this time of the year. It's normally a Bath and Body Works or something like that because it's all. So this dish was literally inspired by me going shopping for my wife for Christmas. And so what it is coconut, lavender, and vanilla. So 3 flavors that you wouldn't normally expect to go together on a plate, but they work really well. And one of the cool things about it is I wanted to make this dish because it was a holiday season. I wanted to make it look like snow. So I wanted to make it look like a snowball and snow and like all of those things. And it's a dish that we've been running at the restaurant for a long time. But I had no idea that we used foams and emulsions and all of those things when we made the dish until we filled in for somebody else in this lecture, and we had to send some recipes up. And then I started to realize that actually there was a little bit of science that went behind creating this dish. So much like Michael, in the dish that he did earlier, the first one, the cucumber, I made a foam using coconut, some milk, some yogurt, and some xanthan gum. And so that was used to suspend it and then charge it again with NO2 to make a foam texture. Yeah, you don't have to work anymore. So I'm gonna charge it with 2 of these chargers and then let that sit for a minute. I already put 1 in. Just have to tap the bottom.
Is it okay? Tell them.
All right. So the first component, what this is a this is not an emulsion, but what this is we used a starch and took oil made with lavender and turned it into
doing?
She stole the beef.
Security.
She's allowed to have
This is
it.
Harvard. They don't feed you at Harvard?
So this is actually oil that's been turned into a powder. And so that's the lavender component to the dish. Then we're going to do is we're going to take some of this liquid nitrogen. Oh, we're not going to pour it on our hand. Pour it into the bowl. Where's that ladle at? So we're going to let the ladle get really cold. So the coconut, lavender, coconut, and then vanilla. What this is, these are little meringues. They've been made with vanilla syrup, and sugar. I made this one easy. We're just one we're just kind of talking about here. So let's place that on.
It tastes
And I
like
have
Lucky Charms.
coconut pudding. It does taste
I
like
love
Lucky Charms.
Oh, wait, that was on camera.
So this is a coconut pudding, which is made with xanthan gum. So we make a gel with coconut milk. Let's steep it some lemongrass and some lime leaf, and then make a pudding with that, and then puree it smooth. So to set pudding first, we set it to the point where it's almost, like the texture of not hard candy, but kind of like pâte à fouille, almost like a soft candy, and then we puree it smooth, and it gets a really great texture. And then lastly, I'm going to take nitrogen in a ladle.
You should put your tongue on it.
And we're going to make a ball of foam, and we're going to place it into the liquid nitrogen. I know around here you're supposed to wear gloves and eyeglasses and all of
Goggles,
those things.
eye protection.
Yes, I know, but it's okay.
Easy.
You can touch
He just
it.
he puts it behind his ears.
Yeah. All right. So, and then what we have here is a shell on the outside. So everybody likes magic shell on ice cream. No, it's gross. Actually, it's not. Well,
I think it's delicious.
Well, it's just I don't know. There's all kinds of weird things in that stuff. But basically, this is what we're doing.
Like
we have this
xanthan gum?
really great. Yeah, this really great dome that's frozen. The foam is suspended and frozen, but then the foam is in the center. So when you crack it, it opens up and oozes out.
Prove it.
So then it goes onto the dish. Well, somebody else is going to come up here and prove it. Throw it? I don't know. Is that allowed? Okay, go ahead.
Uh-oh. Just kidding.
It'll crack. So it cracks open, and you have this really great aerated foam texture in the center, and so
right.
like this frozen ice cream on the outside. It's just all right. So that's coconut, lavender, and vanilla.
And that was number 6. So we did it. We did it in... Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.